Well, good evening. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this lovely platform that we're creating going forward, this YouTube channel. Sooner or later, looking at other restrictions that are happening on other platforms, we may have to start collecting all the content we have had so far on our Facebook pages and move it to this new YouTube channel, my personal channel, Joshua Maponga, personal channel on YouTube. And our very first presentation here will be on the solutions around the coronavirus issue, the solutions around the coronavirus. And there are 5 or 6 issues that I want us to have a look at quickly, just to be snide little snapshot sort of presentation that we'll have on the solutions around coronavirus. Number one, we needed to start having a conversation around the Africa Union. How can we convert an Africa Union, which is all along been lying around like a white elephant, collecting money from African states, creating lots of protocols, and only a few of them would know what these protocols are being used for ultimately. It is important that the Africa Union begins to activate a serious research unit within itself, within its protocols, that looks at opportunistic diseases and catastrophes of this nature that are happening. It is totally unacceptable that we have a body of leaders who gather every often meeting and gathering in meetings and putting on bow ties, having functions. And yet in the midst of those functions, when problems like these appear, they seem to be totally caught off guard. So firstly, it is to say to the Africa Union, put all your monies where your mouths are. Stop traveling around and wasting national monies and budgets of countries. Create a research station, create a research institutions within yourselves that can deal with these catastrophes that are coming upon us. Number two, it is an advice to all the governments that are around there with the budgets that we've drafted for the year budgets in various departments. There's no need for you putting all these budgets in place if the people that you're supposed to be leading and guiding are actually facing death. I suggest that we take quite a chunk or some sizable amount of those investments and place them within the healthcare system so that we can actually begin to develop a healthy healthcare system within every government that is on the South African continent. How do you start off? Like now for the whole month, we've not been doing anything. How about taking the budgets that you have already in various departments and put them together towards a health system? Number three, it is to speak to all the parastatals and all the government and non-government organizations, private sectors that are out there. We've made billions out of African resources, and lots of them in the mining industry, in the agriculture industry, in the pharmaceutical industries, telecoms, and the rest of them. Tiger Brands and the rest of you guys who are out there who are always claiming to have lots of money. It is time that you take some of your money and invest it also into this health system, because the people who are working for you are going to benefit from this same health system. So if your business must run well on the top side, how about you start investing on the health system on the downside? If people are not coming to work, like now for the whole month, people are sitting at home, I don't think you're going to be realizing any much profit. So it's important that all our private sector come together and put their monies together. Number four, it is that individuals who have billions, who have made money either privately or have made it individually. We've always seen you on TVs. We've seen lots of cars and buying penthouses, 25, 30, 50, 60 million, buying farms and ranges and stuff like that. Take note that in the midst of people dying in the community, we are not exempted from this problem. As we have seen, coronavirus does not segregate. In as much as you think you are safe, you might actually be also facing imminent danger. It's important that you also invest your personal monies into this healthcare system. You know, whether as an individual or as a group of individuals, find out places where you can place your money. We know you, as our African brothers and sisters who have made millions, that you don't believe in your own people. You'd rather be taking all that money and stuck it away in Virgin Islands, in Mauritius, and other tax haven capitals. But that money, you must always remember, it is being taken away from your own people. The best thing you can do is to take some of the profit of that money and start investing it towards your own people. Your mothers, your grandmothers, your sisters, and your cousins are still in a mess while you're flying around the world. And we are actually very happy, not because of coronavirus. You're stuck here with us, sitting around. So what are you going to do about it? Before you notice it, before you wake up in the morning, you may think that you have money, but actually that money has actually gathered dust on itself before you spend it on useful investments such as the welfare of your own communities. Number three, I want to challenge all the universities that are out there that have facilities in terms of health and medicine and pharmaceuticals that collect the money, therefore, from the government, from private sectors, and from individuals, and your own budgets also, because some of you guys are private. You're charging an arm and a leg, but yet the research centers of your hospitals are not up to scratch, particularly on the African continent. We want to challenge the hospitals and the academic institutions with professors who claim to have lots of education, that take some of that education and implement it into practical solutions in terms of giving us the solutions that we want at the moment right now. We cannot be waiting for statistics across the oceans when we have you as professionals, doctors, professors of note who are sitting around with all this education, yet are not willing to come forward and share it with the people. Right now, we saw the president addressing the nation, speaking with army generals and police and ministers of transport. We wonder where you are and where are you, so that you can give technical advice, not in the back offices. Come to the forefront and tell the people who are in panic what are the results, what are the effects of some of these drugs that we are hearing. Lots of rumors are running around and lots of social media is on bars discussing the issues of corona. And yet you as professionals are tucked away in your offices reading your newspapers and polishing up your nails. I think it's important that you take up the responsibilities that you have, bring your education to the front. If you're a true African and you believe in the lives of your fellow Africans, it might be very important that your education comes into play at this particular time. And fourthly, it will be to advise that not only our government and Africa as a whole, private sector, the academic institutions, we also want to suggest to the Western world. We've heard that you want to bring your testing vaccines down to Africa and test it on Africans. In terms of infection, Africans are not as much infected as Spain, Italy, Portugal, Britain is. So how about you take your vaccines, and go back to your own people. They right now need more help than we need it down here in Africa. So don't take us as guinea pigs. I think that time is gone of syphilis. The time is gone of chicken pox. The time is gone for pigs and using us as rats, which you can just test your contraceptions and stuff like that. We know that you sign treaties with governments and you don't even wait to inform the people exactly as to what they're happening. Tests have been happening illegally. I'm saying illegally because in as much as the government agrees, the people that you're testing some of these things on are not fully in the know of what is happening. We want to suggest that do your test on the rats and on the pigs right up there in Europe, right there where it is cold, because the virus spreads more where the temperatures are low. I think it's good advice. It's good advice from a fellow brother across the table who can say, how about you take your tablets and take your vaccines and take your test kits and test them there amongst your people, rather than coming to make experiments on us as Africans. And fifthly, to suggest that all the churches that are out there, religious organizations that are out there, start also thinking in terms of solutions. And I know, like in Nigeria, for example, churches are some of the biggest institutions in the country. It is important at this hour that all the big churches that are out there that have made millionaires, pastors are driving, flying in aeroplanes, show some leadership. Take some of those tithes and offerings you've been collecting for years, convert them also into a social health care system for your own communities. If you don't care about the rest of the community that does not believe in Jesus, at least do a healthcare system that takes care of your members. Lead by example. The gospel you've been preaching, which has been an abstract gospel of Jesus hanging in the sky, I think you need to pull him down and bring him into this environment, particularly to face up with the coronavirus challenges that we have. So take some of your tithes and your offerings, not only in Nigeria, in Ghana, in Kenya, here in South Africa, and in Zimbabwe. You've collected millions from people, building hotels and making yourselves comfortable, buying luxury cars. And we've seen you with bodyguards walking on the left and right, men of God. I think the honeymoon is over. The only way you can redeem yourself as a minister of the gospel, if you have been collecting tithes from people. This includes even the mainstream churches, the Catholics, the Presbyterians, the Anglicans, the Adventists, the Lutherans, including the Jehovah's Witnesses and the Mormons, who have been making millions. We know you are millionaire organizations. And whoever your bosses are on the top side, tell them there's a catastrophe downstairs. The same members who have been supporting you with the tithes and offerings, they now need your help. It will be very important for us to look at our health systems as religious organizations. And for the first time, make your money go down. We've been sending money up for too long. It's high time now that we also begin to send that money down and create health systems. Again, if you don't believe in helping everybody else, let every church start helping its own members. And fifth and lastly, I want to address myself to the indigenous knowledge systems. This talks to our traditional and indigenous healers. This talks to our herbalists and everybody else. There is a crisis. While we are fighting as to who is stronger than the other, the real challenge must be, how do we consolidate our information? How do we consolidate the knowledge that we've gathered from the past? Put it together in one basket. Come up with solutions. Speak to some of us and speak to other people who can write, who can classify all your information together, protect your intellectual properties, but bring solutions to the table, so that from the traditional and indigenous medicine section, from the churches themselves, from the private sector, from the hospitals, from the academic institutions, from the government, and from Africa as a whole, we can begin a conversation of looking for solutions. And I want to challenge our universities in particular that don't undermine and underrate your own African institutions. It's important that while you're doing all these researches, that you also look into the indigenous corner and see what sort of solutions they already have in place from the past, where we are coming from, dealing with other diseases of a similar nature, and collect this medicine, sanitize it a little bit, put it in packages and put stickers on it and stuff like that. And let us have it on our commercial tables so that we can begin to deal with the coronavirus as a challenge. So the solutions are not only found in one institution. And I think all of us need to participate. And the last one I'll share with you is that as individuals and as families, we have now come to understand that we can live without junk foods. We can eat properly. We can exercise. We can rest. And we can actually have healthy lives. So how about making that part of the health style we're going to have? If we have lived without junk foods right now for the past 21 days, why must we think that going back to junk food will make us healthy? So it's high time that as individuals, we create a healthy lifestyle, including cleaning up and washing up our hands. We don't need Corona to do that. It's healthy to wash your hands constantly, looking after yourself and etc., sanitizing the environment you're living in, using both commercial and indigenous methods of dealing with sicknesses, such as steaming and eating healthy foods and eating herbs. There's nothing wrong with eating herbs and drinking sage and drinking all these oreganoms and these peppers and paprikas and all the stuff that we have on the shop. So eat, live, sleep healthily. And then from the next level of you as an individual, let us look at our indigenous systems, learn from the past. Let us look at our hospitals and academic institutions, incorporate the people that are at the bottom. Let us look at our private sector and individual investors. Please bring back the money. We know you're eager to plow lots of money into TV and into entertainment. It's high time we take some of that money and place it where the need is. And we also talk to our governments. Please take the people seriously. We don't want to see you spending 10, 5, 6 billion on campaigns so that you can win elections. And when people are in trouble, you stand up on a public microphone and say, I have raised 10 million to deal with coronavirus. I don't think you're taking your communities very seriously. And lastly, as Africa Union, and I think I need to write a personal letter to you. I want to personally apply to come and become a member of the Africa Union. And if anyone is listening to this video and has access to whoever the bosses are, tell them I'm ready to come and support, so that we can also have people who are thinking not only in the box or outside of the box, but some of us have bent the box altogether, and we want to start creating honest, indigenous, quality thinking, which can bring solutions to the greater African people. That is me, Maponga Joshua, Mara-Rah, from Farmers of Thought down south, bringing you some interesting and constant information in line with the coronavirus and solutions for the greater African continent. I thank you.